Hi everybody. I just wanted to do a quick video. I have been getting a lot of questions lately about, especially from newer people, about whether or not they should start their own separate Rodan and Fields business website. I think it's a really popular question when we first enter into this business, and I wanted to take a minute to share with you my perspective about why it's something that I've never done. These are my thoughts and sort of what I've learned in the last 3 years. But ultimately, you're the CEO of you, and you're the CEO of your own business. So you are going to do whatever you feel is right for you. But I feel like it's my job to share with you the reason I haven't. So for the first I think one of the biggest things is that we talk a lot in this business about not having to reinvent the wheel. There are systems in place that have worked for many consultants before us, many very successful consultants before us. And those systems are in place for a reason, because our getting started website, all of that stuff, it works. And so I have just always thought that, you know what, I'm going to learn from the people who have done this before and who have, found success before. And that kind of was the birthplace of the Daily RF Experience, which I know all of us probably follow, I hope. And that is, I think, such a great place because it's exactly that. We're learning from the most successful people within the business. So I'll get on to the first point as to why it's something that I don't do. So recently, in the last 2 weeks, I have been what I'd like to call as spammed by other network marketing companies within social media. I've been added to 4 different Facebook groups by people that I do not know. And all of a sudden, they are hosting events, and my notifications are flooded with these groups. And I was very confused at first because I went to visit these groups and I was like, I don't know this person. I didn't agree to be added to this. Why am I a part of this right now? And it really made me mad. And I would immediately unfollow the group and then unfriend or block the person. So I want to do everything I can to make sure people know that I am nothing. My Rodan and Fields business is nothing like that. This is a conversational business. It's a relationship business. I do not want any part of that because I know how annoying that felt for me. So I think whenever we have a separate page, there's a risk when we're inviting people to be added that a risk to look similar there in that point. And also it can really double the amount of notifications that go on. So if you're adding people to that, they're going to get notified every time you post, plus they're going to be getting notifications within the regular Facebook page. So it's just adding a lot of notifying to them whenever, I kind of think that could maybe get to be a little bit much for a lot of people. The next thing is that, and which kind of brings me to the whole idea of annoying, because I think that's kind of the birthplace of this idea of having a separate Rodan and Fields page, is that we don't want to annoy our networks. So we think, oh, okay, well, we'll just start this little business page over here and we'll just add some people to it and they can just go in there and look at it whenever they want to, whenever it's good for them. So what if you start posting, you start sharing, they get notifications, the notifications annoy them, they click one button to turn off those notifications. They could potentially never be exposed to what you share ever again. And overall, my outlook on social media right from the beginning has been that I don't want to annoy my network either. None of us want to do that. And so there is a way we can avoid that. And how we avoid that is by really diluting our storefront, which is our Facebook main page. So for me, the ratio that's really worked is for every 3 non-Rodan and Fields posts, I post 1 Rodan and Fields post. And that has really worked well for me. You know, and those dilutional posts that we do, those non-Rodan and Fields posts, are just as important. I'd say equally as important as our RNF posts, because whenever someone joins this business, they are joining you, not just joining another skincare company. They are joining you. You are the reason they are entering into this. They believe in you. They trust you. They've watched your journey. They are inspired by you. So whenever we have this separated like that, I think it's really harder for them to make that correlation. Lifestyle posting is so powerful in this business, showing how your RNF business is changing your life. It doesn't matter if you are 2 weeks in, a week in. It can be changing your outlook. It could be exciting you in a way you've never been excited. It could be pushing you outside your comfort zone right from the day of your first launch, and you are excited about that personal growth that maybe you haven't felt in a very long time, maybe not ever. So, or maybe you went to the grocery store and you bought a cart full of groceries, and you have your little toddler who's standing in the grocery cart with his favorite treats, and you're hugging him saying, thanks RNF for a week's full of groceries. We can't wait to munch on all of our favorite snacks, something like that. Or maybe it's standing, sitting in your car with a big smile with your skin showcase and saying, this month's car payment paid in full, thanks RNF. Like things like that. That speaks to people. That's relatable, and people get excited to see that kind of thing. So what I've found with these, when I have been a part of some of these separate Rodan and Fields business pages, is they seem to be very product based. I don't see a lot of talking about the business or talking about your personal experience. And I think those are really the most powerful things. So I think that is definitely a downfall. So it's also double work for you. Because some people have told me, well, I also post on my main page and I post in my my business page. Well, that's a lot of work going back and forth. And not to mention it's a lot of work for you, but it's a lot of work for your sponsor, because your sponsor wants to jump in there, cheer you on, build you up, talk about how great you're doing, how proud of you they are. And it's going to be more complicated for them to keep up with. Where do I go? Do I have to go to both places? Which one's more important? Which one has more people that are You know, it's just more complicated. Complicated is not good. We don't need complicated. We need this to be easy, especially if we only have 15 minutes one day, right? Then, and this is probably one of the most significant reasons, is that I have never met any of the top leaders in the company, any Lexus Achiever, Premier, Elite, RFX, who has ever said, one of the biggest reasons I've gotten here is because I've had a separate Rodan and Fields page. I've never heard that out of the mouth of anyone in any training in 3 years. So I think that's pretty powerful, right? Again, not reinventing the wheel. And then let's think about how you joined. What was it that triggered in your mind that this was something that you wanted to hear more about? Was it because you were part of a separate business Rodan and Fields page? Or was it because you were on the page of your friend? For me, it was Lori, and a lot of people know this story. She posted that I heart RNF, and literally that was the first thing that caught my attention before she messaged me. I saw that and I was like, what the hell is that? It intrigued me. I know I get made fun of for this all the time, but it did. It wasn't because I was part of a separate page. So you want to think that however you were intrigued, that's how you want to intrigue your audience too, right? So really important to think about that, because that's how we're going to duplicate the process. All right, and if you do right now have a separate Rodan and Fields page, take some inventory on there, crunch some numbers on there, evaluate who is involved in that page, who is actively communicating, how many PCs did you get from that page, how many business partners did you sign directly from that audience in that page. Is it blowing up? Or do you have like your mom, your spouse, your best friend liking all the posts. Because if that's the case, then it probably isn't serving you the way it should be, right? So always, I think that's important with whatever we do, to really be very cognizant of what's working and what's not working. And then for posting, I really like to tag Matt sometimes. And he shares some of my posts, and it pulls onto his Facebook page, and it exposes his whole network. When you have two separate Facebook groups like that, I think that becomes more difficult. If it's a best friend, if it's somebody who's cheerleading you but doesn't necessarily want to be involved in the business, if they can easily share something of yours, or you incentivize them to share, that's a lot easier to do when it's not involving two separate locations. And I am all for having a separate Facebook page for your PCs. A PC appreciation page. I do think that is a great idea, a place where you can offer incentives, offer education, love on them, that kind of thing. I think that's great, but this whole separate business page is different than that. And really, if you feel like you are getting PCs from your page, that's great. And maybe that's what your goal is, to just have a solid PC base. Maybe you're not interested in growing a team, and that's fine. Then that's working for you. But to grow big, and if you are looking to replace a career income in the next 3 to 5 years, you are going to need to build a team. That is where the bigger money is. That is where the bigger life-changing stuff happens. So if you're not incorporating business into that separate page, it's just another reason to really reconsider. Okay, so I feel like I've kind of shared my top reasons with you. Again, this is just my perspective. I needed to share it, needed to say it. If you have questions or want to talk further about this, feel free to personal message me. I'm happy to chat about it. We, again, are always stronger. Our ideas are always stronger together than apart. And I'm happy to help you all grow. So I hope you're having a great one. Happy Almost Friday.